Hello, 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 everyone. I am Chelsea Lee Rock, and I have Zona Garrett with me here today. She is a business coach with a plan to succeed, and I am so excited to have her on here because she's going to talk today a little bit about identity and how important it is to really find the true you. So I'm very excited to have you on. Zona, how are you doing today?
I am doing amazing and I am so glad to be here today. So, guys, welcome.
Yay! So, as you know, this summit is all about leading a vision led life, having the light bulb moment that you're looking for, and really making up and deciding who you want to become. So, I'd love to hear a little bit more
Mhm.
since your business is called A Plan to Succeed. How do people plan to succeed, in your opinion?
In my opinion, I believe that you take the things that you're interested in, you take your natural skills and just the way that you kind of see the world with your life experiences, and you kind of meld those together with your identity, and that's how you show up. And if you look at that as kind of your perfect recipe for success, then you know that there's nobody that's going to be competing to be you. And you can bring your own solutions, creativity, your own perspectives, and really change the world.
Nice, nice. So, tell us a little bit about your business, about you. What do you do on it? Let's just dive right in.
Yeah, awesome. I would love to. So I've been with Plan to Succeed since 2014, and I'm actually the founder. But we work with individuals and groups that are entrepreneurs, influencers, and thought leaders. And we really help you figure out what your voice is. And a lot of that has to do with mindset work, which is why we're part of the mindset summit that we're doing today, which really goes into being able to push yourself, being able to ask powerful questions, being able to get yourself out of hard or difficult situations, so that you can stand out and really be that thought leader, influencer, and really be able to shine in your unique space that's really there uniquely for you.
How would you say that women should stand out when they feel like, for example, that maybe their business or something that they want to do is oversaturated? Maybe somebody wants to do jewelry, make jewelry, design it, do an Etsy shop. I mean, just whatever. Like, what would your thoughts be on that?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a really great example. So, anytime you're in a field that seems saturated, you want to take a step back, right? So, we have the same people that kind of all say the same thing and they never stand out. So, if you look at um, any any kind of breakthrough person in any field of business, like jewelry, you want to look at what's unique to you, to your style. So you do want to look at trends, you do want to look at some of those things, but more than that, you want a specific thing that kind of makes people go, no, I need to buy jewelry from them. And that can be, the materials that you use, that can be the way that you design things, that can be your packaging. Maybe that's the story that you put with it. But the fact of the matter is, who you are is unique. And when you start really embracing those things, not in a this is who I am and you can't change me, because that's aggressive. Um, but really kind of letting that flavor the experience that people have with you, then you have a product that's wrapped around, kind of who you are, what you're about, where you want to influence the world, and it really starts to set you apart. So instead of people going to a big box store and buying jewelry, they're going, no, I really like that girl. I really like that guy. Or I really want to go back and I want to, support their vision, or
Mhm.
this unique talent that they have. Um, but really embracing what makes you unique, and
Mhm.
kind of standing in that, and kind of gently declaring it, I guess would be the way I would describe that.
Okay, I'm glad you touched upon declaring something. So,
Hmm.
for everyone listening, declaring really it kind of goes hand in hand with manifestation, meaning if you put
Hmm.
something out there, you're going to receive what you put out back. And I'm curious,
Hmm.
Donna, what your thoughts are on declarations, because I know for me, I've declared a lot of things in my life and I've seen them start to happen. But what really was the turning point was actually believing that it could happen. So what are your thoughts on that?
I'm really glad that you asked that question. I think that one of the benefits of declaring something is actually having enough focus and structure to know what you want. I think a lot of times we don't get anywhere because we don't actually know what we want, so we don't take any action towards it or away from it. Right? So that's the one side of kind of declaring and manifesting. The other piece really has to do with I don't believe that you're going to get something that's going to sink you. So there might be things in your life that are great things, but okay, for instance, money. So money is an amplifier of what's already inside of you. So if money is going to completely corrupt you, I don't believe that then you'll receive it in the way that you're thinking of originally,
Love that.
because you don't have the foundation to hold on to it. And we see that all the time, right? So we see one hit wonders and we see reality stars, and they shine super bright, or even like YouTube stars or Twitter stars where they shine really bright and then they kind of fizzle out. And I think that it just goes to show, like, maybe they weren't quite ready to hold on to it. Maybe they didn't have enough developed yet to really stand in their power and to stand in who they are. And I think that, along with the mindset work, along with, kind of having an idea of where you're going, you have to have the foundation for what you're going for. And then you get to maintain it. And then you get to have that full manifestation, that full declaration to delivery. Does that make sense?
It does, and I'm really glad you said that, because I heard from somebody that I'm going to fix this a little bit. There we go. I've heard from some people that I really admire and respect that a lot of people aren't given money because they can't handle it or because they don't know what to do with that. And I heard this when I was probably 19 or 20.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, I got it, but I was like, wow, that's kind of profound. But at the same time, like, I don't know if that applies to everyone, right? It's just some people. But then I thought, it really applies to anyone who has that mindset of, okay, well, I want this,
Mm-hmm.
but I have no idea how to get it, and I probably don't deserve it. And so I'm just not even going to try. And it's a subconscious level thing, right? We don't
Mm-hmm.
actually say those words out loud. And
Absolutely.
I was listening to,
Mm-mm.
I know, isn't it crazy? I'm just like, guys, and it's for me, I've like figured it out not too long ago. And so for me, I'm just like, I want to tell everybody. But it's really coming down to
Everyone.
it's just really coming down to feeling that different vibration of, you're the 4 or 5 people around you that make the same, what is the saying, that 4 or 5 people around you, the same income they make is what you'll make, something like that, where you just
Uh-huh.
you give so much of yourself to other people, thinking like, oh, I'm going to do this job
Mm-hmm.
and this job and I'm going to make money, but you're not ever getting ahead because you have this attitude of scarcity or this attitude of overwhelm, which doesn't ever turn into just flowing, that ebb and flow, which will give you that success and that creativity that you're looking for.
Hmm. Well, one of the things that I really teach on when it comes to mindset is kind of the open hand policy. So if you have your hand open for things to flow in and to flow out, then there's movement, right? But as soon as you have a mindset that says maybe money is bad, or even that there's not enough money to go around, or let's say, I'm in a saturated market, so who would buy from me, right? That's one that we all deal with. We hear that all the time. So if you do that, what happens? You close your fist, right? You close your hand and you're like, oh my gosh, that means anything I get, I have to hold on to desperately.
Yeah.
But when your hand is closed, there is nothing getting in there. There's no movement. There's no flow, right?
Yeah.
So it's crazy to me, the number of people that don't realize that the thing that they're trying so desperately to hold on to is actually diminishing because of how tightly they're holding on to it, instead of letting it kind of because it does, it comes in with the tide almost, and kind of comes out a little bit, and then it comes back in, and you're learning different things at different stages with different amounts of money and different amounts of clients, and even different levels of your mindset or levels of your declarations, right?
Yes, good point. That's very true. Zona, I would love for you to touch upon something along those lines of that tight-fisted mentality with anyone who's watching this who might be affected, thinking, okay, I'm a stay-at-home mom, I have 3 kids, or I make $30,000 a year, or my husband makes 30,000. How in the world are we supposed to let go of this to get this?
Now that is scary, and I definitely, I've been there. I know what you're going through, and I can say that when didn't have clear vision of what we were going toward, it's really hard to give up the consistent income and to take the leap and to go after the more income, right? Because usually it requires sacrifice, whether that means you're going to school, whether that means you're getting your master's degree, whether that means you're getting some sort of a certification, or you know you're starting to actually put money into a business. There's always a point where the next step is going to take an all-in kind of move, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those declarations is really kind of starting to build that foundation. So when I'm talking about declarations, like, how there's stages of your declarations, and you kind of start out where you're like, this feels silly, and I can't imagine that this is ever going to be true, and it's almost like it feels like a lie. And then after you hear it enough, it's like you start coming into alignment with it. But
Mm-hmm.
most of us, for those big things, right, it takes longer to move into the second stage of it. It takes longer to move into the, no, this is a possibility, and I do have the creativity I need to make this amount of money, or I do have the connections that I need to make this kind of money, or I have the skill set to get the connections that I need to make this kind of money that's going to be more than the 30,000. And when it's those bigger dreams, those bigger manifestations, you have to hold on longer, right? So you have to be consistent. You have to consistently talk about, and this goes back to identity, which is one of the foundational pieces of any declaration. So when you're creating something that's big, right, it takes longer than it does something that's small. So, for instance, one of my clients had a game system that she really wanted, and she didn't want to get it because of asking, as a gift from somebody or anything like that. She wanted to earn the income, and she's amazing. She's actually a high school student that's an entrepreneur, and she decided that she wanted this game. She's like, I know I'm going to get it. I know I'm going to get it. And the first opportunity came around where, she had gone from that first stage of declarations where she's like, okay, it still feels like it's not going to work this way, but I'm going to keep going at it. And then she went into the second stage, and she's like, okay, it looks like this is going to work. I can see it now. It feels authentic. It feels real. And at first she was disappointed, right? Because it didn't happen as soon as she thought it would. And a lot of times we get to that point and we stop, right? Because it didn't happen in the time frame that we thought, or it didn't happen in the way that we thought that it was going to happen. And we get overwhelmed and discouraged and tired, and we start to talk ourselves out of it, and we're like, maybe I'm crazy. I can't believe I put so much energy into this, right? And you really have to decide to go all in or to step back. And it's that kind of like that line that you have to cross, where you're like, no, I'm believing that this thing is real. I'm believing that this thing is going to happen. And you have to push through. And she had 3 major disappointments of times and ways that she thought that it was going to happen that it didn't. But she held on and she kept pushing through. And it became a huge thing to her when it finally happened, right? And it doesn't matter how it happened. The fact of the matter is, it was what she was wanting, what she was manifesting. But
Yeah.
she had to hold on through the disappointment and things like that. So,
I love that you said that
sorry,
because
I didn't mean to talk long.
No. I think stories are what creates the, what we're talking about here in general, is just because there's so many things where we stop, including entrepreneurs. I mean, if I had stopped building and desiring my business a year ago or 2 years ago, then I wouldn't be where I'm at now. And now it takes some time, that as a business owner, it takes time to build up clients. It takes time to build up
Oh, yes.
customer acquisition, and to be really like sure of what you are doing and what your purpose is. It's not even just about customers. It's who are you in the journey. And this is actually a perfect segue, because I wanted to talk a little bit about how we put ourselves in those boxes, and then we think, well, we see our friends who are more successful, so they're doing great. I'm not making the money. This must not be the thing for me. And for me personally, a couple years ago, I tried to get a 9-to-5 job. I got a degree and I was like, I'm going to do the 9-to-5 thing. And I actually had trouble finding a 9-to-5 job. I think part of it was that my heart wasn't in it. And I was subconsciously maybe putting that resistance up. But also I think that wasn't my calling, because I have a bigger calling to give to other people. I found my gift in speaking and helping people, and having a psychotherapy background. But that in and of itself, I'm having trouble talking today, is such an important part, because I think we lose the identity, or we lose the consistency, and then we just say no. So thank you for sharing that. I'd love to have 3 tips. Are there 3 tips that you have about how to kind of just even figure out your identity today? If people are struggling, or their questions are, I don't know, I'm not sure, I haven't figured it out yet. What would be a way to kind of clear that, or break that?
You don't really know who you are until you're in a situation that makes you uncomfortable. So the first thing that I would challenge you with is to do something that makes you uncomfortable. Not dangerous. It doesn't have to be life-threatening. It doesn't have to be something that's, going to like make permanent damage, right? But either try something new. Like if you don't know how to cook, try cooking. It's okay if you hate it, but it still helps you kind of narrow down the things that you love and the things that are going to be part of you. For instance, when I was 18, I moved across the country by myself. I wanted to know that I could stand on my own 2 feet and that I could hack it. And I'm part of a big family. I love my family, but I needed to know that I could stand on my own. And there was so much that I learned about myself, about my ability to adapt, my ability to make a way where I might not be like everyone else. And those experiences have been experiences I have relied on over and over and over again, where I can look at hard things in my business or my personal life and I can say, no, I've already overcome this, this, and this, or I've already put myself out there and tried this, this, and this. There's no reason why I can't do something else that's new.
That's great. I love that. That's so powerful and so true. And I think that we often just forget those little things that we need to be reminded of. So my last question.
So I think that's the first one. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead and finish the last 2.
Sorry. The second one is mindset work. Know what you're working on and be consistent. So even if you've just achieved something amazing, even having a mindset focus on gratitude and keeping it, like, even if you get like, okay, so let's say you hit the 8-figure mark in your business. So you were making $30,000 a year. Now you're at the 8-figure mark. 8 figures puts you, or 8-figure mark a month puts you at 100K a year or more, right? And even that, after it happens a few times, it kind of loses its glamour. So keep working on your mindset. Have a gratitude mindset project that you're always working on. Even as you're reaching those goals, you're hitting those milestones, that will kind of help you be like, okay, how can I be cutting edge with this? How can I keep this fresh? How can I keep moving forward in this? And then the third thing is, don't focus so much on like the technical things like social media, your website, things like that. But remember relationships. Always be looking for Who do I need that's above me, that's where I'm going, right? Who's beside me that's a peer that we can continue to push each other, and who's behind me that I can help up.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. So it's just a constant flow of helping and constant flow of growing. I think when you have a growth mindset versus a fixed
Mm-hmm.
mindset, it's always about helping other people and also
Mm-hmm.
allowing yourself to learn from them. Yeah, I think that's great.
Mm-hmm.
So my last question for you, Zona, before we wrap up, we're getting a little short on time here. What is your favorite quote or your favorite book that you would love to share with everyone listening?
Oh man, that's a good one. So my favorite book is actually Story Brand by Donald Miller, and it is an entrepreneur book, so I understand if you're not super excited about that, but he just talks about telling stories. And I think that if we could learn that in any area, whether that's a career or owning our own business or being a creative or an influencer, if we just learn how to tell our own stories in an authentic way, then I think that that can improve so many areas of our life.
I love that. And I always think it's interesting when you have the experiences of how it runs and flows every day. Like I was talking to someone earlier today about stories, and then I was doing something on storytelling, and then all of a sudden you're talking about stories. So that's great. Anyway, we're going to go
Mm-hmm.
ahead and wrap up now, Zona. Please tell me how people can get a hold of you, and then we'll just wrap up.
Awesome. So you can always find me on LinkedIn, which is Zona Garrett Plan to Succeed, or you can find me on Facebook. I have my Facebook page, which is Plan to Succeed Coaching. So it's at plan.succeed, or you can always find me on my podcast, which is XM Chicks.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Zona. I know everything's going to be at the bottom of the link and everything so people can find you and get the free gift that you're offering on your site. So thank you so much for coming on. It's been
so excited.
awesome. And I am really excited to see what happens for 2018 for you and for everyone else that I've been interviewing.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me, and you guys have an amazing rest of your year. Awesome.
Bye, guys. Join us tomorrow.